So upcoming Friday nights, me and the degenerate boys that we are, we're coming back with the betting show.
You look at the way he bounces off tacklers, the way that he keeps his eyes downfield, his vision, his ability to find holes, his pass catching ability, right? Because he had.
In my lifetime, I'd put him at probably around the 2 area, with, again, the only other person up there being King Ricky.
Anthony Richardson or Caleb Williams at the 111.
Yeah. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of BSing Sports, where we do a little BS and we talk a whole lot of sports. Here with me during this time of madness and insanity that we call NFL free agency is my co-host, Jacob James Krogan. Jake, how are you, buddy?
I'm good, dude. How you doing?
Good, man. Good. We got a lot to talk about. Yes, that's right. We are finally covering free agency. We figured we'd let that marinate a little bit versus, other places that jumped right on it day one. I feel like that now that we've had a little bit to kind of let the feelings manifest, we can give, a little bit more clarity into some of these signings, as well as the other signings that have happened after the first day. Things change throughout free agency. So, Jake, how would you grade this free agency period so far in terms of like a madness scale, like 1 to 10? Like, is there a bunch of insanity, stuff you couldn't predict being a 10, or like, is it pretty like on par what you thought was going to happen?
There's been a little bit of insanity as far as just the Seahawks in general, but
Seahawks are a big topic.
Haven't been really too shocked with anything. But yeah, I think the Seattle Seahawks really kind of set the tone for this free agency. I apologize.
We'll talk about the specifics and like dynasty values and our opinions on the specific moves here in a second, but I want to start out by saying, like, I don't have any idea what the Seattle Seahawks are doing at all. I mean, they paid more money for Sam Darnold than what they had for Geno Smith. They get a third for Geno, which I think if you were going to trade Geno's probably about what you were going to get, an early third-round pick. I don't think, he's not anything ecstatic. He's 35 years old. But then you go ahead and trade DK Metcalf before signing Sam Darnold. So arguably the number one receiver, we'll, debate about that later, gone, and you still sign Darnold, and then you go and get Cooper Kupp. To me, it's just some of this stuff doesn't add up here. It's almost like they're just doing stuff on the fly just to do stuff.
No, I think they have a picture of what they want to do. I just don't know with the cast of characters that they have brought in if they're going to be able to do it. They want to run this West Coast offense. They want to be able to run the ball and throw these option routes, throw these, out routes, go routes, just depending on whatever the defense is. They want these smart receivers who they got in Cooper Kupp, seasoned vet, if he can stay healthy, great receiver. JSN, young. We saw what he could do last year where he broke out. And he can blow the top off of defense. This is like the things they want to do. They want to run the ball, which they can do. They have Kevin Walker III, and they have Kenneth Walker III. I apologize. They're not Kevin.
I was going to let you go.
And Zach Charbonnet. And so to me, they know what they want to do. They have blockers in Noah Fant and the other tight end that I can't think of that I think they like very, very much. And they're just going to run these 2 wide receiver sets with tight end, run heavy, and then get these guys that know how to get open. And they're going to rely, and this is all on Sam Darnold, in my humble opinion, on if he's going to be able to read a defense and make the right play. From what I've seen, that's not going to happen. But
well, you and I watched 2 very different Sam Darnolds last year, but
I watched Sam Darnold with probably the best supporting cast you can probably have.
So 35 touchdowns and 9 interceptions. Easily his best season.
No, by far. It was a great season. I'm not taking the season away from him. But we saw how that looked when he got put under pressure, when things weren't going smoothly. what happened? He fell apart. He threw picks. He looked terrible. He reverted back to his old self of seeing ghosts. And to me, I don't want to pay a man $100 million off of one good year.
That's just kind of the way of the NFL, though. I mean, that is exactly what happened to Baker Mayfield. Basically got this exact contract off of one good season. And Baker Mayfield with 3 different offensive coordinators has taken off since then. So the same could happen to Sam Darnold. It very well could, right? He's a former first-round pick with first-round talent and pedigree for a reason. Let's see if Kevin O'Connell, the school of quarterback classes, gave him the full wash and has him actually playing on the right trajectory. Let's see if he wasn't just a product of one system. Let's see if he learned how to play the quarterback position. I don't hate the Seahawks really doing this necessarily. I think I probably would have stuck with Geno, but I'm not an NFL GM. The way the contract is, though, we'll get into it when we talk about Sam Darnold, but they did not pay him $100 million. They're real slick with it. They don't even trust Sam Darnold. So I don't know if you saw his guaranteed money, $37.5 million, all paid in the first season. He has a $0 cap hit in year 2 and year 3.
Interesting.
So they did not pay him $100 million. They could very, very, very easily kick him to the curb as long as he stays healthy and passes a physical at the start of his second year. They can cut him for nothing.
See, but at that point, why pay the man $37 million at all? Why not just see what you have in Sam Howell?
Because Sam Howell is actually trash. Sam Howell is what you think Sam Darnold is.
No. Sam Howell is on the same platform as Daniel Jones and Sam Darnold.
Daniel Jones and Sam Darnold aren't on the same platform.
You got Daniel Jones higher?
No.
No, I lump all those guys together.
No.
Those guys are all backup quarterbacks that you pray never see the field.
Sam Darnold's one of the 32 best quarterbacks in the NFL right now.
I'm taking Zach Wilson over Sam Darnold.
Okay. Put the crack pipe down, Chief. But Zach Wilson is another name we're talking about. But, I mean, so first off, I bought Kenneth Walker earlier in the offseason in one of my leagues for, and it was a little bit risky, right? There was a lot of rise on Charbonnet at the end of the year, a lot of downswing on Kenneth Walker. But once Clint Kubiak went there as the offensive coordinator, and what I'm seeing in the offseason, this is going to be like Kenneth Walker's boom year, and he's going into free agency next offseason. So this could be a huge Kenneth Walker year with that outside zone scheme. I think I read a stat the other day. Kenneth Walker on outside zone schemes averages over 5.5 yards per carry in his career. Charbonnet was somewhere down in the mid to high 3s. So this scheme that Kubiak brings obviously fits Kenneth Walker a lot better than Zach Charbonnet does, which is why I'm so excited for it. But that being said, I could see an avenue where, this is a one-hit wonder. Kenneth Walker booms. They don't pay him. They let him go, and Zach Charbonnet's a starter in 2026. Different show. We're going to start out with the free agents here, though, and we'll dive a little bit more into the specifics of the Seahawks as we get to those particulars. We're going to kind of start out a little slow here, maybe not with the first one, but the next few after that, kind of some meh signings. First one, Justin Fields to the Jets, 2 years, $40 million with $30 million guaranteed. Jake, give me your dynasty value for this move and what you think of Justin Fields.
I absolutely love this signing personally. I love Justin Fields from a fantasy football perspective, not necessarily an NFL perspective, but they paid this man $30 million for 2 years. And I think in 2 years, this man is going to put up 2 quarterback 1 seasons if he stays healthy. His rushing upside is elite. When he's played, when he's done well, he's put up the fantasy numbers that you want. He's been in the top 10 consistently, and that's what I want. So I love this. I have no problem giving up a late first, early second for him. And, I mean, to me, what more do you want? He's reconnecting with Garrett Wilson, who he played college ball with, and they have Breece Hall there. They have a decent defense, and we'll see what happens. But from a fantasy football perspective, he is everything that you want.
I love this move for Breece Hall. I'm neutral on this move for Garrett Wilson. I don't like Justin Fields. Yes, from a fantasy perspective, he fits that Konami code. He's a big time runner. But if you look back at Justin Fields in college when he was good and what got him, top 15 draft capital, he didn't run nearly as much as the NFL asks him to. And I think in order for him to be a successful NFL quarterback, he needs to get back to that. And they need to let him throw the football from the pocket because that is what he was so good at in college. Justin Fields is on his third team in his 5th year. He's not a good NFL quarterback. We need to just get that out there. He's going to need a drastic Sam Darnold-like turnaround to have any real NFL value. This contract here on a per-year basis makes him the 20th highest paid quarterback in the NFL. And that doesn't include the rookies behind him like Jaden Daniels, Drake May, guys who are just obviously better than Justin Fields are. He is actually closer to Marcus Mariota on a per-year basis than he is Baker Mayfield, who's only 2 spots higher than him. So even this contract doesn't tell me that, the Jets are all in on this guy. This tells me that, they're real cautious with Justin Fields. They don't know if they can turn him around. I don't know if they can either, but any quarterback on his third team in 5 years, I don't care how much of a rushing upside he has. He gives me no confidence that he's going to hold any sort of long-term job. So if you need a 1-year stopgap, sure, fine. Maybe 11-game stopgap, hoping Justin Fields can stay healthy. I'm mid-second on Justin Fields. I would sell him for that. I would not buy him for anything more than that. Justin Fields does not impress me as a player, and that doesn't, in the long run, that just doesn't bode well.
I'm feeling okay.
DeAndre Hopkins, 1 year, $5 million to the Ravens. This does nothing for me. I'd sell him for any third-round pick to any contender who wants him.
Yeah, no. If somebody wants to give me 50 free agency bucks, by all means, I might take that.
Yeah, I'd probably just sell. If you play in leagues that have 4th-round picks, yep, sure.
4th easy, yeah.
Same thing here. Kenny Pickett traded to Cleveland for a 5th-round pick, 164th overall, and Dorian Thompson-Robinson. This is a little bit more intriguing because there's a 10% chance Kenny Pickett could be the week 1 starter for the Browns.
10%.
But, yeah, this is still any 3rd-round pick for me.
Man, yeah, no. Again, any 3rd-round pick, I have zero confidence in Kenny Pickett. Zero confidence at all that he does anything good, much less with the Browns.
Even if he's the starter week 1, we've seen for 25 games he does not have the upside to produce anything for fantasy football. You're better off starting most position players over him in a super flex spot.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I agree with you. Any third, send it.
Zach Wilson to the Dolphins, 1 year, $6 million, fully guaranteed. I have any third, but if you're a Tua owner, this is something that I'm looking into because we know Tua has an extensive injury history. So could Zach Wilson potentially get a chance at a revival in a Mike McDaniels offense? Who knows? But that may be worth a stab if you're the Tua owner.
Oh, 1,000%. And actually, as a Tua owner, I went out and got Zach Wilson for 2 free agency bucks and called it a day. I love this. I love the offense that the Dolphins run, and I think Zach Wilson can flourish in this. We've talked about this off air. But, yeah, Tua gets hurt constantly. You bring in a first-round talent with a guy that does throw a good deep ball, isn't afraid to sling it, and who just played for a terrible organization in the Jets. I mean, just look at Sam Darnold. And what he can do in a competent offense. So I see no reason Zach Wilson can't do this. And I have it as any third, but you can honestly probably sweet talk me. If I'm a Tua owner, you could probably get a late second from me.
I think it's funny you just bashed the Jets saying Zach Wilson was under a terrible franchise, but you openly admitted that you'd pay a late first for Justin Fields.
Oh, no. I solely think Justin Fields
crappy franchise
run the ball for his life. He's going to run for his freaking life.
I just hope he gives the ball to Breece Hall a lot because his legs open up the running game for Brees Hall so much.
Mm-hmm. I can agree.
Now we're getting into the real big signings here. Mason Rudolph back to the Steelers, 2 years, $8 million with $4.5 million guaranteed. This is like any fourth-round pick. I know right now Mason Rudolph probably sits atop their depth chart. There's no way that they don't do something about this. Everything that I'm hearing on Twitter and in the space is telling me that like Aaron Rodgers is probably really close to signing there, which between Aaron Rodgers, DK Metcalf, and George Pickens, I need the Steelers to be on Hard Knocks, but
oh man, I feel like
if you don't have any faith in any of the veterans out there, or you think they draft Jackson Dart and let him sit for a year, go throw a third at Mason Rudolph. I don't think that. I'd sell him for any third, but he's on here.
Yeah. So for any third, do not care two shits about Mason Rudolph. He couldn't do anything anywhere at any time. All he's good for is taking a helmet over the head. That is it.
Yeah. I'm surprised he signed back there with Myles Garrett getting that big extension. Probably just hoping he doesn't have to play against the Browns ever again. Okay, now we're getting into the actual big pieces here. We've got DK Metcalf to the Steelers for a 2025 second, number 52 overall. There was also a late pick swap in there, a 6th for a 7th. And then immediately signs a 5-year, $132 million deal. I did not see the guaranteed dollars. So I guess it starts with me, huh? I'm a late first DK guy, 109 to 112. I'd sell him for there. I'd pay that for him. If I needed the wide receiver and I was a contender, I'd sell him to any contender for that price. I'm a big believer in DK Metcalf's floor. You know, he's pretty much consistently a wide receiver too. I know he did have wide receiver one season very early in his career. I don't think he's that type of guy, but I do reasonably expect him to be a wide receiver too. And he's only 27 years old, right? So he signs a 5-year, $132 million deal. You can still very easily get 3 or 4 good years out of DK Metcalf at that wide receiver 2 level. And to me, I think that's worth a late first, despite the fact that, as we just talked about, Mason Rudolph, no real idea who's throwing him the football in the short term or the long term. But I think that he is good enough to overcome it. I remember when Geno Smith first went to the Seahawks and everybody kind of rolled their eyes about it, and DK Metcalf still produced. So good players produce to a certain extent.
We have different memories of Geno Smith because he was a backup for Russell Wilson. And then, like, Russell Wilson got hurt. But I get what you're saying.
No. I mean, Geno Smith was there, but Russell Wilson didn't get hurt, did he?
Yeah, Russell Wilson was out the last 3 games of the season.
Oh, I thought like you meant like he missed like half the season. I was like, I don't remember Russell Wilson ever missing that much time.
He had the broken thumb or whatever, and they missed the playoffs, I think, because of it.
Oh, I do remember that. Yeah. But I mean, when Geno Smith went to the Seahawks, he was a backup, like you just said, and then all of a sudden he was thrusted into being a multi-year starter for that team.
Yep. But to me, DK Metcalf is I'm selling him for any early second I can get. If I could get it first, by all means. But yeah, you give me an early second, I'm selling him. He's only regressed every year. Yes, he's 27, but he's going into an offense that is always ran the ball, and they have not been a pass-happy offense since Ben Roethlisberger has been there. And that was years ago, ladies and gentlemen. So to me, he is the guy that I'm trying to sell. I have him in a few leagues. I'm trying to sell him. And I'm going to let you know, ain't nobody trying to buy him for our prices right now.
I disagree with that, actually. I've seen a few trades where DK Metcalf's gone for somewhere in the range of what you said and what I said. I mean, when you get the kind of job security DK Metcalf has with the kind of floor that DK Metcalf has, look, to your point, you're right. The Steelers haven't been a pass-happy offense since Roethlisberger left, but think about their quarterbacks since Roethlisberger left. Pickett, Rudolph, Fields, washed Russell Wilson. Aaron Rodgers is an upgrade over every single one of those players talent-wise. Every single one. Even if Jameis Winston went to the Steelers right now, who, by the way, have no running back. Like, yes, Jalen Warren's a nice complimentary piece. They don't have running back.
Like they're gonna draft a running back.
You think? I mean, I would assume so too, but it's not a matter of if, it's when. If they don't go running back first round, you got to wonder who's going to be there the second round and then the third round if they punt on the second round. So it really all depends on if.
They don't have a second rounder. They just traded it.
What's up?
They traded the second rounder for DK.
I think they have 2.
Oh, do they? Oh.
I thought so.
Well,
I think I read somewhere they had 2.
Well, I definitely see them taking a second rounder at running back then, personally.
So, yeah, I mean, to your point then, if they don't have 2, maybe I misread. If they don't have 2, if they don't go first-round running back, this offense might turn pass happy just off of that fact.
True.
So, I mean, we don't really know what the offense is going to look like. I do think Arthur Smith, as much as he frustrates us for fantasy purposes, he is actually a fairly decent play caller. Don't love him as a head coach, like him as an OC. I think there's variable outcomes here, but DK Metcalf, he's got talent. He's got ability. Also, him and George Pickens about to be beating up every defensive back on the way down the football field.
I'm about to say the most penalized football team is about to happen this year.
What do you think about George Pickens with this signing?
I think they're going to get rid of him once his contract expires.
I think
they don't like his attitude.
I think he's going into his third year. Well, they didn't like his attitude, so they traded for him just 3 years older.
Yeah, but at least Metcalf plays hard.
That's true.
Metcalf might be a bully, but he's going to chase somebody down and catch him if the ball's picked.
That's true. What do you have?
Pickett, who's just going to throw his helmet on the ground and scream and go punch a cornerback.
What do you have Pickens' value at now?
Shoot. If you can get an early second, mid-second, get it.
Yeah, I'd try for a mid-second too. I was never a Pickens guy. Nope. I think the Dynasty community has always been too high on George Pickens. I think he's actually very similar to DK Metcalf coming out of college, both very raw as receivers, both very athletically gifted.
Mm-hmm.
Just George Pickens never panned out on learning how to play wide receiver. And then, to my point earlier, his quarterbacks have just sucked his whole career. So,
fair enough.
Christian Kirk to the Texans for 26-7th. This is a lot. I'll let you start, Jake, but this is a lot to me.
Okay, so I'm catching a lot of slack for this, but I love Christian Kirk. I love what he did at the Jags. He got hurt. If he didn't get hurt at the Jags, he would have had another banging season. Look, he's 28, going into 28?
I think he's already 28.
Well, with that being said, look, this man is going to put up numbers. He's going to be everything everybody wanted Tank Dell to be. He's going to get the snaps and the route running that Stephon Diggs got. Those guys aren't there anymore. He's taking those catches. Nico's still going to get his, but this dude is going to be a wide receiver too this year.
Where's my lighter? Need to do a hot take lighter. I like this move for Christian Kirk, right? Like I now think Christian Kirk is a sneaky buy. I don't think you need to pay what you have him valued at to get him, which is good because that means he's an extra buy for you. So what'd you say you had him at?
I'm at the 205 to 208 range.
Okay, I had him at an early third. I would consider paying a very late second, like 211, if it needed to get done. Mm-hmm. But this, like I said, this says a few things to me. One, the Texans like Christian Kirk. I mean, they played against him for a year and a half when he was in Jacksonville. They obviously like what they saw, despite the fact that he got injured. Two, they have no faith that Tank Dell is going to be able to stay healthy moving forward because Christian Kirk and Tank Dell kind of play the same role.
Yep.
Number three, Stephon Diggs isn't coming back because Stephon Diggs was available for dollars. They didn't have to give up draft capital, and he was coming off an ACL tear, so you could have got him for fairly dirt cheap. And they just decided to go give a 2026 7th for Christian Kirk instead. So I think that, with a couple of those things in mind, Christian Kirk might actually not be a bad investment. I think, he's somebody worth taking a flyer on. Like I said, I think I would start out in the early third range. You like him for a mid-second. Maybe you got to pay somewhere in between that to get him. Nonetheless, I do think that he's a sneaky good buy.
Okay.
Daniel Jones, 1 year, $14 million with basically the whole thing guaranteed to the Indianapolis Colts.
I see what I put. I think I meant to put third, but whatever.
I have any third-round pick, except if you're an Anthony Richardson owner who's contending, you need to go pay your second. First off, they've with the guaranteed dollars here, this isn't like a true backup job. Daniel Jones is coming in competing for the starting spot. Secondly, not only has Anthony Richardson been bad, in 2 years, he hasn't even played a full season's worth of games yet. So
that's so bad.
Injury history, bad play, him tapping himself out in the middle of a game, which is a little ridiculous. There are a lot of negative signs for Anthony Richardson, and this signing is just another one of those. And who knows, maybe Daniel Jones gets another shot somewhere. Maybe he learned something from the Kevin O'Connell School of Quarterbacking and his brief tenure there with the Minnesota Vikings, and maybe he's coming to Indianapolis ready to ball. I traded Anthony Richardson away a couple days ago. You told me it was for pennies, and while that may be true compared to Richardson's upside, the Indianapolis Colts aren't taking any chances, and neither am I.
Yeah, no, I mean, I don't hate what you did, but there is a possibility that it blows up in your face.
Oh, yeah, and the first message I sent to the guy after the trade was completed, I said, one of us is going to lose this deal bad, because if Anthony Richardson loses his job to Daniel Jones, he's going to end up like Justin Fields.
Yeah, except unlike Anthony Richardson, I trust Justin Fields to make, a 10-yard out route throw, Not confidently, but
I trust him more than Anthony Richardson. I would agree with that.
Yeah. And so, I love Daniel Jones here. I love this for all of the fantasy receivers and Jonathan Taylor. Love this for everybody if he starts. If not, I stay away from all those players. I absolutely hate it. I don't trust Anthony Richardson. So I have any second for Daniel Jones, but at the same time, I think I meant to put third there. Just, it's fine.
That's on me.
That's on me. That one's on me, Blue. I take full responsibility for that. But yeah, no, I want him to actually play because I think he is a younger Joe Flacco as far as what can be done in this offense. And Daniel Jones isn't stupid. He's just not a gifted thrower. The brain is there. I just don't think his arm is as good as it needs to be a quality NFL starter. We're also talking about the same dude that blew a 95-yard touchdown run, but it's whatever. By tripping over his own 2 feet. That's Daniel Jones. I don't know if Ryan froze or not.
You froze.
100%. I was looking at yours. Your face did not move one bit.
Yeah, no, yours was the same way on my screen. We both probably froze.
Yeah, fair enough. Okay. But yeah, that's my take on Daniel Jones.
Yeah, you're going to have to repeat the whole thing because you froze.
Pretty sure everybody heard me.
Buddy, you were frozen on my screen. Nobody's going to hear you.
I mean, we're just going to have to find out.
I mean, just repeat what you said so at least I heard you, but you were frozen on my screen, so
what
I
was
couldn't
the
hear
last thing you heard?
You said that if Anthony Richardson's the starter, this is bad for the rest of the team. Like, you're out on everybody, and then that was it.
Oh, yeah.
It was like a good 20 seconds.
Be a quality starter.
Yeah. I disagree with your personal assessment of Daniel Jones, and I also disagree with the fact that Jonathan Taylor is on the no-fly zone. No matter who the quarterback is, I think Jonathan Taylor gets his regardless.
I just think he's better with Daniel Jones.
After watching what I watched last year, I don't know about that.
We'll find out. That is the great thing about fantasy football.
So
We don't get paid to be an analyst. We just do it for fun.
So in 14 games, he had over 1,400 rushing yards and 11 touchdowns. You think he's going to do better than that with Daniel Jones?
I just think it's going to be slightly better than if Anthony Richardson was there taking rushing away.
Daniel Jones is going to do the same thing.
I don't know. I just think Daniel Jones is smarter.
I think he's smarter than Richardson. I still don't think that he processes the field well. I think this is a very desperate signing by the Colts to try and light a fire under Anthony Richardson's ass and say, hey, man, just because we drafted you 4th overall doesn't mean you're invincible.
Was it 4th overall?
Yes.
I thought it was like 12th.
Nope, it was 4th overall, dude. That shit is crazy. Speaking of washed up Giants.
No, you did not just insult my boy like that. No, that did not just happen.
I swear I didn't even set up the sheet like that, and I didn't think of that until right now. I don't even think that. I'm just going to openly admit I don't.
Yeah, I was like, you can take the lead on this one, Chief, if you want. You're talking to the next great Denver Broncos tight end.
Evan Ingram, 2 years, $23 million with $16.5 guaranteed to the Denver Broncos. Jake, your boy, your floor.
I think this is exactly what Denver needed. And from a fantasy perspective, I absolutely love it because you want to know why? They don't have any elite receivers, much less tight end. But what their tight ends did was get open. And I think this opens up everything, the seam routes, the over the middles. And Evan Ingram is an elite athlete. He just was hurt. If he stays healthy, he is going to finish as a top 6 tight end, ladies and gentlemen. They paid him great money, great offensive coordinator, a quarterback that can get him the ball, who is better than Trevor Lawrence. And to me, I love this. I would give up any
waiting for a reaction from me.
Huh?
Were you waiting for a reaction from me? I noticed like a hesitation there.
Oh, no, I was reading what I actually had him valued at.
Oh, okay.
That was it. But we just traded for him, you and I. So I put my money where my mouth is. I gave up a mid-second for him.
And your boy Brenton Strange.
Oh, and Brenton Strange, I did. He is my boy. That was my only share of him.
The trade, which I posted on Twitter, was I give him Evan Ingram and a 26th third, and he gives me Brenton Strange and a 26th second.
Any traction on that?
Somebody commented and said they like the Ingram side. And I don't hate the Ingram side. I don't hate Evan Ingram. I think in the Sean Payton system, I said it a couple weeks ago that this would be a great signing for Denver right after Evan Ingram got cut because Sean Payton historically has loved tight ends. Is Evan Ingram the same tight end he was in New York when he was young and athletic? No, not really. I do think that he's a little bit smarter of a player, though. I think he's kind of developed his skills as like a route runner and awareness. I do think that his athleticism is falling off a cliff. I think he's got better hands than he did when he was with the Giants. Holy crap, he couldn't catch a pass. My big beef with Evan Ingram is he is a target merchant, and that is not necessarily a beef because at the end, volume is king in fantasy. It's that he's slowly, well, not very slowly, becoming Zach Ertz, where Eagles fans forever remember the nickname No Yak Zach. Tight ends historically is like fantasy production equates to athleticism. Obviously, there are outliers to that. And as Evan Ingram's athleticism kind of disappears as he gets a little older, it concerns me a little bit. I still think he could potentially have back-to-back tight end 1 seasons with the Denver Broncos. But this isn't, this contract is, again, kind of like the Justin Fields one, makes him the 10th highest paid tight end in the NFL. It's not overwhelming, obviously the Broncos, like him, but they don't love him either, if that makes any sense. That's what the money's telling me. So
Oh, yeah.
I like Evan Ingram for the next couple years, but
Yep.
only if he's getting his fair share of targets in that offense, and I do expect him to.
Oh, yeah. Huh.
What?
UNC is in a playing game as the 11 seed.
Is that March Madness?
Yep, the highest seeding that they've or the lowest seeding highest 11 seed that they've been since 1979.
I think lowest is the higher number.
Yeah. No. Maybe. I don't know.
I always get confused about that stuff, man.
Yeah.
I just say worst seed.
Yeah, the worst seed that they've had.
Yeah. I don't know. I'll let somebody else figure it out. Man,
Right.
I got Evan Ingram for Ezekiel Elliott in February of 2023.
Dub.
I would say so. Next offseason move on the docket, Geno Smith to the Raiders for a third-round pick, 92nd overall. This, from a real-life perspective, screams of a team that is just absolutely desperate for like an 8-9 season. They're absolutely desperate to keep up with the rest of the AFC West and desperate to not be a laughingstock.
I'm gonna tag Joey in this one when we post it.
Like Geno Smith is definitely better than any quarterback. I think he's better than Derek Carr at this point. So I think he's better than any Raiders quarterback of the last decade. But I mean, he's not. This isn't something like league winning, especially in that AFC West. This isn't even division winning. Like, yeah, you made a massive upgrade at quarterback. He's still the fourth best quarterback in the division. So I think if I were the Raiders, I know Pete Carroll going in there at 73 years old probably wants to win now, doesn't really want to sit through a rebuild. I think the Raiders are taking the wrong approach here. But for fantasy, I do like this. He's going to be the obvious starter. He has this guy, Brock Bowers. I'm sure that they'll draft a weapon or two within their first two picks. I have this at like early to mid-second, so like 203 to 206, obviously super flex value. If I was a contender and I needed, if I was pivoting to a second quarterback, I think Geno Smith's very affordable at this point. Jake, what's your take on it?
Yes, from fantasy football perspective, I actually kind of like this because I think the Raiders are going to be down in a lot of games, and I think Geno's going to have to throw the ball a lot. So I think he also has the best tight end in the game. That one guy that they call Brock Bowers. I mean, I think we've talked about him a time or two. He's okay at football. That's about the nicest thing I'll say about a Raider. With that being said, this is a Band-Aid for a team that is a laughingstock like you had. I just want to emphasize that you said that, not me first. I
mean, they are, and that's what this
are. I'm just
that they just want to be mid. They want to be somewhere in the teens next year when they draft, and not in the top 6.
Yeah, and I don't blame them. They're just trying to be mid. That way they can go get that Trey Smith guy that everybody talks about in 2027. So
Jeremiah Smith.
Huh?
Jeremiah Smith.
Is that his name?
Yes. The wide receiver from OSU. Yes.
Yeah. You also got that Ryan Williams guy too. He's not too bad at football. Man, that's when
and Ryan Williams just turned 18 a month ago.
Yeah, that 2027 class is going to be so fun to watch.
No, it won't. All of those guys, both of them are going to stay in college.
You think they're not going to go 2028?
I mean,
they're going to go to 2028?
Yeah, I mean, why wouldn't they? It's basically what everybody else is doing now anyway.
True. Thank you, NIL, for helping the quarterback development process?
Question mark? Najee Harris to the Chargers, 1 year, $5.25 million, fully guaranteed with incentives up to $9.25 million. This is the highest fully guaranteed contract of any running back this offseason.
Oh, and for good reason.
Yes.
Najee Harris is going to rush for 1,200 yards next year.
Sorry. I meant to keep that inside.
He's rushed for over 1,000 every year of his
Yeah,
career.
I don't think he's ever rushed for 1,200.
I'm pretty sure his first year he did.
I think a lot of his fantasy production came from the fact they got like 90 targets or something as his first year. It was super weird.
More Ryan.
He
What do you
rushed for exactly 1,200 yards.
Got it.
So
Nailed it.
And then the following 3 years, rushed for exactly 1,200 yards, less than 4 yards a carry. The next year, 1038, less than 4 yards a carry. 1035, just over 4 yards a carry. 1043, just under 4 yards a carry.
With the worst offensive line in the NFL. Look, the Steelers' offensive line has been dog shit. They've been able to hide behind it for so long because Ben Roethlisberger just said, "You can't tackle me. I'm going to throw it here."
Can you really keep referencing Ben Roethlisberger? How many of the offensive linemen that were there last year were there when Roethlisberger played? Shit was like 4 years ago.
But that offensive line is terrible.
Oh, yeah, I agree.
And so it doesn't matter. He's about to go behind the best offensive line he's ever had. He got paid to be the starter there. They're not bringing back JK. No other running back even challenged JK. So give me Najee. I will give up an early second for Najee.
I almost agreed with everything you said. I still think the Chargers draft a running back.
We will find out.
$5.25 million is not a lot of money.
It's not, but also,
and it's a 1 year deal.
Yeah, but I think they want to see what they get with him. I mean, didn't they spend a second on Isaiah Spiller?
No, he was a fourth.
Huh?
He was a fourth, and that was like 4 or 5 years ago.
Okay.
Yeah, he was a day 3 pick.
I love Najee Harris. I just felt like he's been getting the stick the entire time.
Yeah, I have him at a mid to late second. The first thing is he has no receiving upside. Outside of his rookie year where he had 94 targets and 74 receptions. Hasn't displayed any receiving upside. His efficiency numbers stink. I mean, to your point, that could be because he's behind the Steelers line. But the main reason is I still believe that the Chargers do draft a running back, and I think that they expend some pretty decent capital on one. I don't know if it'll be first-round selection with this signing, but I could definitely see second-round selection. And then they split the workload and tell Najee to take a hike next year. But yes, I think that a lot of Najee hype is strictly landing spot and not player talent. And since this is only a 1 year deal with not a lot of money anyway, I'm just better off avoiding the whole thing.
Fair enough. I'm happy with my Najee shares, the 2 that I have. So
I don't have any. I don't have a lot of shares of the players we're talking about right now.
Good and bad?
Javonte Williams, 1 year, $3.5 million to the Dallas Cowboys. There's no shot that I know we said this last year, but there's no shot that the Cowboys don't draft a running back this year. Like, no way, man. Also, Javonte Williams isn't good. I know he was a dynasty darling at one point, but he's not good. He just isn't. He looked terrible last year. Did you know Javonte Williams had 1 broken tackle every 7 carries last year? 1 every 7 carries.
Is that good or bad?
It's terrible. That's a terrible metric.
I was like, I've never heard that stat before, so I don't know like what the normal average tackle break is.
Yeah, so I think the average, what did the podcast I was listening to say? They said the average was like 4 or 4.5.
Okay.
And this guy was at 1 every 7, which tells me that even 2 years removed from the injury, he still can't make people miss. He still can't create his own space. Zach Martin just retired. The Dallas Cowboys stink. They're a joke of a franchise. And again, there's no way that they don't draft a running back. I mean, maybe they don't because Jerry Jones is an idiot, but this tells me they're going to draft a running back.
Let's hope
So I have Javonte Williams at, I think I put any third. No, I didn't, but it should be any third.
Yeah, I put a late second.
I don't know.
I agree with everything you said. Look, as a Denver lover, he just didn't do what you needed to do last year. He looked like he lost his step from that ACL tear, and he's just never gotten it back. And that pains me to say.
Yeah, so you have him at late second?
Yeah.
Yeah, I would take a late second for him. I don't even know if I was. Oh, you know what? I know why I had him at 211, because if for some reason the Cowboys are still stupid and don't draft a running back, like to the same point as Najee, like the landing spots, just at that point, you just got to assume he's probably going to be the lead back. But again, I don't think there's any way Dallas leaves this draft without a running back. Debo to the Commanders for a 5th, 147th overall pick. Yeah, I'm mid to late second, 2.7 to 2.10 for Debo, and I would gladly sell him for that. He looks washed. He doesn't have any life in his step. He's constantly injured. I don't actually love this scheme fit for him. I know a lot of people are super hype about like, oh, he's in oh God, what's his name? He's in who's the offensive coordinator?
Cliffy Boy Kingsbury?
Yeah. Oh yeah, he's in a Cliff Kingsbury offense. Is that supposed to be better than a Kyle Shanahan offense? Like, what difference does that make? So to me, I'm and this tells me that the 49ers and the Commanders don't really value Debo that high either. A 5th round pick. I'm good with a mid to late second. I'd sell him for that in a heartbeat.
Sounds good to me. Yeah, I love Debo as a player. Like, I love his skill set, but yeah, health is the big concern for me. And honestly, I don't know if it's going to be there. They got a 5th. Commanders gave a 5th. Essentially nothing to me. So he has potential. If he can stay healthy, I think he can do something. But it is wide receiver 2 at best. Like, his wide receiver 1 day is behind him. So, yeah, I would give up a mid to late second.
Aaron Jones, the Vikings, 2 years, $20 million, $13 million guaranteed. Jake, you're shaking your head, and you made an interesting comment when we were before the recording. I'll let you go ahead and take the floor here on this one.
I want nothing to do with Aaron Jones. I don't. They have Cam Akers there who looked just as good when they pulled him from Houston. They just trade for
Jordan Mason.
Yeah, they just traded for Jordan Mason. So there's like the fact that the Vikings are going to try and draft a running back here is really just phenomenal for me. Look, I love Aaron Jones as a player. I love what he's done in the past. I love him, like, just fantasy perspective. But he's getting old. He got really banged up at the end of the season last year. Didn't put up the fantasy numbers that you wanted to see. So I don't know what he's going to do here. They are paying him a good chunk of change, though. So, I mean, fantasy football relevance is there, but I'll give any third. Like, I'll take any third for Aaron Jones and take a flyer on these running backs this year.
So Cam Akers isn't there anymore. I don't know. You said he was there. He's not there.
Oh.
He is a free agent currently. I like this for contender, man. I would pay a late second for this. Aaron Jones, 2 years, $20 million. And the fact that they traded for Jordan Mason also tells me that there's an unlikely chance the Vikings go out and expend big draft capital on a running back in this draft. So Aaron Jones, who finished as the PPR RB15 last year, he would be an excellent guy for contenders to rotate into your RB2 spot. He's in a very good offense where Kevin O'Connell will get him touches. And he ran the ball 250 times last year and stayed healthy. So I could see that number come down a tick with Jordan Mason there. But the receiving game has always been Aaron Jones' bread and butter. I could see that maintaining. Great buy for contenders. It would be a late second, though. Nothing more than that. He's 30 years old. I mean, I'm not shelling out the farm for a 30-year-old running back.
No, not at all. And that's not what you want to do.
Are you done?
Up next.
Up next, we got Chris Godwin returning to the Bucs on a 3-year, $66 million deal with $44 million guaranteed. RIP Jalen McMillan truthers for now. This tells me that the Bucs really like Chris Godwin. Obviously, he had that nasty injury to end his season, but prior to that, he was looking very elite. And there are some worries about Liam Cohen being gone. There were also worries about Dave Canales being on. Look, Chris Godwin on a per-game basis has been fantastic for fantasy pretty much his whole career. I mean, like 15 points a game almost. I think it's like 14.85. Problem is, dude can't stay on the field. So, yes, I mean, he's a great contender buy. Again, I'm probably going early to mid-second, 203 to 206. I don't quite think he's first-round talent because he is, or first-round pick value because he is 29 years old, is coming off that nasty injury. But yeah, I would, if I'm a contender, I would gladly have this guy as like my wide receiver 3 easily.
I can concur with that. 100%. And that's why I'm willing to give up an early second at his age. I want somebody for the next 3 years. And if he comes back healthy from what he was doing, he was putting up wide receiver 1 numbers. He looked phenomenal. And that is what I want. And so I'll give up an early second for that chance because if he does stay healthy, Baker Mayfield proved that he can give it to him and be that receiver that you want.
Devontae Adams, 2 years, $46 million, $26 million guaranteed to the Rams. Jake.
So much money for a guy that is extremely old, past his prime. Like you said on the last pod, is pretty similar to Cooper Kupp. Both great route runners.
Except he stays on the field.
Yeah, and I think that's what they're paying for. So for me, I'll give up a late second for him. Give me a late second. You can have Devontae Adams from me. No problems, no ifs, ands, or buts. And, I don't hate Devontae Adams. I just – he's old. He's in his 30s.
Yeah, he's 32. Yeah, I mean, to your point, that is a lot of money. I think a late second. I have it like mid to late. I think that's, if you're a contender, then, yeah, I would be okay giving up my second for this guy. Obviously, he's good when he plays. He missed 3 games last year, still had 140 targets, 85 catches, over 1,000 yards, and 8 touchdowns. It'll be interesting to see how he fits in with Matthew Stafford, Puka Nacua, and Sean McVay. I think he could put up similar type of numbers. And, for the next couple of years, I think he gives you, the potential for low-end wide receiver 1, maybe, mid wide receiver 2 numbers. And for a late second, I'm fine with that.
Yeah.
This one, here we go.
We talked about it earlier. Sam Darnold.
Yep, Sam Darnold to the Seahawks, 3 years, $100.5 million with $55 million guaranteed. Like I said earlier, the $37.5 million he's owed the first year is all guaranteed, and then he has no cap hit as long as he passes a physical. So he has to stay healthy.
Oops, my bad.
Starting the second year.
I'm about to check to see if I have any Sam Darnold shares.
Jake, you have him as a mid-second. I have him at a late first.
Yeah, I don't trust Sam Darnold at all. I'm trying to get rid of him, and clearly the Seahawks don't trust him at all either. So
I think they trust him a little bit. I just don't think they trust him as much as the contract face value says they do.
Dang it.
He's basically on a 1-year prove-it deal with a little bit of insurance behind it for the Seahawks should he actually ball out. And I think Clint Kubiak could be good for him.
I have a question for you.
Yeah.
I just got a trade offer.
Okay. We need like a sound or something, like if we get a trade off on the show, like a phone ringing or something.
Aaron Jones or Xavier Legette?
Aaron Jones, dude.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Even if I'm rebuilding, like Xavier Legette does nothing for me.
Yeah, he had 1, 2, 2 wide receiver 2 games.
In a room that, mind you, was pretty much wide open all year.
Yeah. But yeah, no, I have
Where did you receive that at? What league?
super flexibles.
Oh, God. Okay. But yeah, so I have Sam Darnold as a late first. Look, the reality is he's a young quarterback in Superflex who at least has 1 year of stability with some pieces. One of those we'll get into next. The other one is Jackson Smith and Jigma, who made a huge year 2 leap. They have 2 good running backs and an offensive coordinator I like. I think that there is reasonable suspicion he could be, a mid to high QB2 this upcoming season. Now, whether he plays well enough in real life that he can actually live out these 3 years, different story. But I think in Superflex, you're not getting him for anything less than a first at this point with this kind of news. And I'd be okay selling him at that price. I'd also be okay buying him at that price if I needed a quarterback.
Yeah, 100%. Not losing any sleep over this guy. Sadly, I have no shares of him anymore.
You don't?
Yeah. Huh?
You don't?
I don't.
Must have been looking at somebody else's team. I thought you had him in Friday Night Lights.
I thought I had him, but I think I traded him away. Also, another trade. Caleb Williams, Xavier Worthy, or Justin Herbert, Ladd McConkey.
Herbert McConkey.
Yeah.
A lot of
Try to
moving
make
pieces.
that trade.
A lot of moving pieces there, though. Although I do still think Ladd McConkey is a good sell, especially with the rumor that the Chargers were in on DK Metcalf. They're going to be looking to add some pieces.
Oh, they need to. They need some receivers that aren't Josh Palmer or Quentin dropped the football Johnson.
I didn't put it on this list, but Josh Palmer signed 3 years, $36 million with the Bills. I just don't think outside of Shakir, any of the wide receivers in Buffalo are fantasy worthy. So,
not one bit.
All right. So if we're done with Sam Darnold, the last signing that we have to talk about is the aforementioned Cooper Kupp to the aforementioned Seahawks for 3 years, $45 million. I didn't grab the guaranteed money. Kind of talked about the fit last week. A little strange. Actually, we talked about it off air. Yeah. Cooper Kupp, JSN, both primarily slot guys. So it'll be interesting to see how they work that. Not that it's impossible to have 2 slot receivers in the same formation, but it's just interesting at all. I'm curious to see what the utilization is like, but I think Cooper Kupp can put up a wide receiver 2 season if he stays healthy. He just has had trouble. He's like Chris Godwin, but a little bit better. Where he just cannot stay on the field his whole career. Cooper Kupp was a good receiver before the Triple Crown year. Most people don't realize that, but he just can't stay on the field.
No, exactly. And when he can't stay on the field, he wins Triple Crowns.
I have him at a late second. If I'm a contender, I would be okay paying that. If I was rebuilding, I'd be okay selling for that.
Yep, late second as well. You just good. I mean, at best you get him this year and next year. I don't see him going 3 years.
Yeah, so that'll about do it for the free agent signings. Give me your top 3 landing spots for running backs.
That I want to see running backs go to?
Give me your top, however you interpret that question. Your top 3 landing spots for running backs, as far as, fantasy. They're going to produce right away. You want to see running backs go to, sure.
Denver Broncos.
Is that number 1?
Probably.
Okay.
Chicago Bears.
Okay. That's an interesting one.
And I don't hate Swift at all. I'm just saying, it wouldn't shock me if they went out there and got somebody. And As much as I hate to say it, the or the Las Vegas Raiders.
So I have the Denver Broncos at 1. I have the Pittsburgh Steelers at number 2, and I have the Dallas Cowboys at number 3.
I got you.
Dallas could be interesting depending on what type of back they draft because they also need pass catchers.
Yeah.
Well, that'll do it here for us, right, Jake, at BSing Sports, where we do a little BS, talk a whole lot of sports. Yeah. Okay. Well, thanks for tuning in, guys, and we will see you next week with some rookie talk.
Oh, yeah.